Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Black Friday, and welcome to the Early Edge. Of course, this is BPE Friday, and we've got a very special guest joining us this morning among all the ones that you like to see here on a Friday. I couldn't help but notice Walter Rogers in the chat. He said, Sia, you might need a hug because that was a bad beat on the Patrick Mahomes completions prop. Yeah, we lost that by one. Looked like we were going to coast to a win there. And we have a losing recap screen. We were 6-2 on the recap yesterday, but look at this. The left side is absolutely terrible. We go 0-4 on that side, but fortunately, Prop Stars hits his, Bob hits his, Danny Brasco goes 1 for 2, so it's 3-6 overall. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not what we want to do. We do not want to go 6-2 and then 3-6 because we're giving it all back. But ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. You know we're going to be here on a holiday week. So buckle up. It's BPE Friday. What? Oh, there we go. There we go. What's up? We got Emory Hunt is here. We got Buckets. We got Danny Brasco. And we've got... I think we've got Mikey B. He's missing in this. Oh.
Sia, Danny, Bucket, Emory, and everybody watching. Are you ready? Yeah! Let's go!
Mikey B. Lighting it up as usual. We don't have Chip here today, but that was a pretty good chip me up. Emory, very happy to have you here today. We've got a lot of football to talk about, both college and NFL, among other things. Thanks for coming on to the show, buddy.
No, I appreciate y'all having me, man. I remember this Big Pick Energy Friday SportsLine joint we used to do, man. It's just fun.
It is fun indeed. Buckets, how you doing today, buddy?
Man, I'm struggling today, if I can be honest with you. See, I need some help carrying the energy, carrying the vibes. I attempted to cook my own Thanksgiving dinner last night, and then proceeded to eat significantly undercooked chicken. So I've been fighting with my body for the last 8 hours. It's not been fun.
Chicken?
That's turkey, the main one. Thank you.
Well, listen, we were there was a poll going around as to what was going to happen to you on Thanksgiving. I chose like mine or burn, but undercooked turkey was certainly...
Food poisoning should have been the heavy favorite.
Yeah,
cash,
absolutely.
So.
Danny Brasco, how you doing today? I know you've got a couple of NFL picks for us.
Food poisoning for Buckets has cashed like 9 times this season. It's got to be ridiculous. Like Saquon Barkley or like Christian McCaffrey anytime TD line, like minus 300 at this point. Shout out to Aaron Bailey in the chat who's saying, Brasco, how about them Cowboys? I was really liking the trends that favor the Chiefs as favorites. And wow, dogs barked last night. So the trends, they were time to regress, right? The trend is your friend until the end. So good call, Aaron, on the Cowboys. And Gippers mentions in the chat, UFC 324 news. At halftime, Dana White announced that the interim lightweight title will be up for grabs. Ilya Topuria stepping away for a little bit. He's going to be out, so that belt is vacant. And Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje are going to go for the interim lightweight title. Some people feel like Gaethje getting the shot is a little weird. He basically said, I'm retiring unless I get a title shot, and they gave it to him. He kind of skipped the line. A lot of people are kind of up in arms about it, but it makes for a great fight. I'll say this much right now. Paddy by however he wants.
Wow. All right. Mikey B, before we get to some official picks, do we have a big NBA slate today?
Yeah, lots of games for the NBA Cup, the Emirates NBA Cup. How can you not be excited, Sia, about a very important trophy?
All right, fair enough. We'll get to those NBA picks in just a second. Start us off, Buckets, with some. We got a lot of picks today. We've got soccer. We've got 3 college football picks from Emory. We're going to pick his brain about some NFL plays too. We got the NBA, the NFL. But Buckets, you're going to kick us off with the pitch.
I got you, Sia. Don't worry about it, buddy. I'll take care of things from here. If I sprint off camera all of a sudden, just know that I'm doing my best here, guys. We've got Serie A this afternoon, and we've got Como hosting Sassuolo in what should be a very close and competitive matchup. These are two teams that are just outside the elite of Italy. They're not your Milans, they're not your Napolis, they're not your other Milan, but these are two teams that are still doing very, very good so far this season. Como, specifically at home, has been kind of a fortress so far. They're currently sitting 6th on the table, and they are one of the best defensive units in Serie A, but I really like both teams to score in this matchup at -110 because of how Sassuolo have been playing. Sassuolo are playing like this team that wants to fight for a European spot, but they can't get it with their defense alone. Goodbye, me. welcome back me. They have looked fantastic on offense so far, but defensively have been so lackluster. This is a team that is constantly playing up or playing down to their competition rather than finding their true form, which is equating to a lot of goals like we saw against their 2-2 draw against Pisa last match day. I really like both teams to score in this matchup, and a little bonus lean, I do like Como over 1.5 team total as well. And for my second bet, we're going to the English Championship, where Oxford United are hosting Ipswich Town. Ipswich Town is finally playing like a team that actually cares about getting promoted. They are finally showing up at home, and they're really showing up at the road, which is why I like Ipswich Town over 1.5 team total. A little bit of juice here at -130, but I wouldn't get creative with this one. Don't add BTTS. Don't add 2.5, because I think this game ends 2-0 to Ipswich. They have outscored their opponents currently in their last 3 matches, 10-2 on their 3 away games. This is a team that on the road is fighting for these scrappy points, and they're looking good doing it. I really like Ipswich to win this one, but that team total being playable at -130 is too good to ignore.
All right. We got Ipswich Town over 1.5 team total -130, and Como versus Sassuolo both teams to score -110. All right, Emory, let's get to some college football. And again, we're going to get to a lot of NFL later as well, where we're going to want your opinion on some more technical things that you as a college football running back will be able to elaborate on perhaps better than me or Danny Brasco or Mikey B talking NFL. But before we get there, talk to me about, you've got 3 favorites you're taking here in 3 pretty big games. Start us off with Ole Miss, Utah, and then I'm going to reset you for Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Utah is a legit juggernaut right now, and they can score and score in bunches. And I can't really trust the Jayhawks defense, so this 10.5 points, something you just got to lay, because Utah, first of all, the whole Big 12 is getting disrespected. As you saw by the college football rankings, the BYU and Utah sitting outside of the playoffs right now, and they're 2 of the best teams in college football. So expect this to be one of these style points type wins for Utah, and they're going to roll up the points here against Kansas.
All right, so we've got Utah -10.5. I like that, even though it was last week where we saw Utah kind of stumble, have to come back in that one. Talk to me about Ole Miss, though. They're laying 7.5.
Yeah, it's the Lane Kiffin, drama show where he's made this thing all about him. But the good part is they have a great team. Mississippi State, while improved, isn't as good as Ole Miss, and I expect Lane Kiffin to announce he's going to return to Ole Miss, and in a rivalry game on national TV, they're going to blow out Mississippi State. So later 7.5 points with the Rebels.
All right, 7:30 tonight, I believe. We've got Texas A&M. This is the one, Emory, we did the college football show together. And by we, I was just hosting it, begging for your opinions like I always do on that show. It's in everybody's feed, by the way, your podcast feed or on the SportsLine YouTube channel. This Texas A&M Texas game, I feel like there's just really good arguments on both sides. So make the compelling argument for the higher ranked and perhaps better team in Texas A&M.
Well, I mean, when you look at the quarterback position, I know Arch Manning has played significantly better since the beginning part of the season, but Marcel Reed is a Heisman candidate, and he has this offense really playing well. They're deep in the backfield. Casey Concepcion is one of the more dynamic playmakers as a returner and a wide receiver. Defensively, they look like the old wrecking crew defense that I grew up watching in the 80s and early 90s. So this is a complete A&M team, and Texas is going. First of all, I like that we got this rivalry game back on the schedule because this used to be the game to watch Thanksgiving weekend when you had. I remember my senior year in high school. It was the Ricky Williams breaking the college football rushing record against Texas A&M on an off-tackle run play. So that's the type of rivalry game this was for a long time. So we get that back in. But A&M is a really good football team. I understand the spread. Because it's such a tight game and both are really competitive. But, man, give me the Aggies. And these rivalry games, you can kind of throw the records out the window, as they say. Just like later on this afternoon, the Bayou Classic, you have Southern Grambling. Southern is awful. They're 1-10. They just potentially, knock on wood, hired Marshall Faulk. I know he agreed to terms. Grambling 7-4. Mickey Joseph, who's from New Orleans, is doing a great job there. Throw all it out the window. Take Southern plus 13.5 against Grambling in this ball game. Those games, whoever comes in as a favorite either loses outright or find themselves in a last-second need-to-have-it type moment. That's the Bayou Classics of Southern plus 13.5 as a free giveaway I just gave you guys.
So that's a 4th pick there for you. Matt, Emory says, let's go Emory in the house, see you at the Bayou Classic. Are you going to be there, Emory? Did you just say that? Will you
No,
be
I'm
there?
in Connecticut. I am nowhere near New Orleans right now. I'm in the studio later on today. So
all right.
Although the best part of the Bayou Classic was last night at the Battle of the Bands. The two schools bands performed, and it's a great event, great party. And then everybody just leaves the Superdome, just floods, Canal Street and Bourbon Street, all that stuff like that. Today, those people that hung out last night probably won't get to the Bayou Classic until halftime to see the other Battle of the Bands. So you'll see the stands sort of empty in the beginning part of the game, and then they'll get packed for halftime, and then they'll fizzle out by late third quarter. But it's going to be a fun event. If you haven't gone to one, I suggest you do so.
One more follow-up question for you, because there's a couple of people in the chat on this Texas A&M game that are curious about the total. So Scott says he likes the over in that game, but Gippers Picks says he's got the first quarter under in that game. What do you expect from a point standpoint?
I think this one could be, to be honest, this one is going to be one because it's a rivalry game. So I could see A&M winning this one 30-24, 30-27, something like that. So I don't know what the point total is, but that's what I'm thinking about in a game of this magnitude with these two teams that hadn't seen each other in quite some time.
All right. We got to get to more picks, more of your questions in the chat. We're going to go to the NFL next, and then Mikey B, we're going to get to your NBA picks. But I do want to tell you, speaking of the NFL, about some MGM boosts here. BetMGM players will receive a Pro Football same-game parlay boost. Just make a Pro Football SGP, and if you win, your winning bet will be boosted. Also, BetMGM account holders will also get a college football odds boost today. Score extra winnings if your college football bet wins only at BetMGM. How about some sports line picks before we get to Brasco, before we get to Mikey B? College basketball, we've got Arkansas State money line courtesy of Matt Severance. That's -125. And then the NHL, Jeff Hockman steps in for Ottawa Senators money line at even money. Arkansas State money line, Ottawa Senators money line from Matt Severance and Jeff Hockman. All right, how about we get to some NFL? For some picks for today's Eagles-Bears game. I see a lot of Eagles and Bears people in the chat. I see you, Rick Funcannon. We're going to cover that, and then we're going to cover some NBA props and picks right after this message from our partners.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go! Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Joe Everett says Emory is the GOAT on the scouting all-star circuit during NFL draft season. Emory, where can we find your work during, I guess, scouting season, pre-draft season?
At FBall Game Plan, footballgameplan.com/2026 draft guide. They can pre-order that now. And again, I'll be at all, I think it's 10 this year, all-star game starting 2 weeks from now at the FCS Bowl, which is down in Orlando, Florida. And then it's all month of January. I am all over Texas and Florida. That's the good part about the all-star game circuit. They're in 2 spots, so I'm just ping-ponging back across Texas and Florida with a little pit stop in New Orleans for the HBCU Legacy Bowl in February. So follow me on social media. You'll see all the video clips and the YouTube channel, and I'll post all practice clips, stuff like that, so people get to stay engaged and stay locked in.
If you want to stay in the know and kind of know some of the things that your friends don't know and just be that guy that knows ball, you need to be following Emory wherever he's at. Danny Brasco, I was talking to Emory. We were talking to Emory before we went live here about Saquon Barkley in particular and about this Eagles-Bears game, also about the lack of linebackers or starting linebackers for the Bears and how that might impact Saquon Barkley. I don't know if that factors into your analysis, but you certainly like Saquon Barkley's over 77.5 rushing yards.
Sia, it absolutely does. I mean, the Bears have already really struggled against the run this season. They ranked 26th in defensive rushing DVOA, and you mentioned it. TJ Edwards, Noah Sewell, and Ruben Hypolite. I think I said his name right. One of my favorite names in the league. All 3 of their starting linebackers out for this game. Defensive end Dominique Robinson also going to miss this one. And I know that Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson have been activated. We'll talk about that a little bit more. I don't know how much they'll play, if they'll be on a snap count. But Bears fans are excited to get their best defensive backs back on the field. However, that's not going to help them stop the run. Now, Saquon Barkley has curiously struggled to get his rush attack going this season. And I just watched, flipping through channels in the morning, getting my sports takes. Of course, First Take popped on, and Stephen A. Smith is there talking a whole lot of nonsense. I mean, he's blaming Saquon for all of his struggles this season. He's asking him, you got paid all this money, all these incentives in your contract. Like, what are you doing, Saquon? What are you? Stephen A. Smith type of take. I'm looking at him like, hello, Kevin Patullo is searching his way out of a paper bag right now as the offensive coordinator. Lane Johnson, their best offensive lineman, has been hurt. They go as he goes. He's not going to play this game, but I still think this is a spot where the Eagles demand that they pound the rock tonight and get their rush attack going again. Barkley's only over this number in 3 games this season, but the Bears are coming off a game where they just gave up 186 rushing yards to the Steelers. And I really think the Eagles can just look to go more in single back formation. They were doing a lot of shotgun. Like you said before, I would love to hear Emory's take on some of the formations and the way they're lining up against the run. But at a single back, they look way better. And they look like they have way more options in terms of that run game. So I think they're finding some things here and there. And against the Bears team that just cannot stop the run, this is the game to find yourself. So Saquon, get right game. I see a lot of people talking in the chat about liking a touchdown. I think he has a huge yardage, and I like that longest rush over that you mentioned pre-show as well, Sia.
Yeah, Brasco, before you get to your next play, so you've got Saquon's over. Emory, I want to ask you about Saquon Barkley's longest rush over, because that was almost an official play I brought to the show. Forgive me for not having it for the show, but I might put it in on SportsLine later. It's 16.5, depending on where you look. It's in that -114 to -125 range. Again, longest rush over, 16.5 yards. Emory, with the linebackers being out, now I know Saquon hasn't been explosive. I know there's some questions on the offensive line and with the offensive coordinator, but with all the starting linebackers out, it just, the way I picture this, and you'd be better at explaining this and just telling me if I'm wrong here, is when you've got the backup linebackers in and Saquon gets to the second level and these linebackers potentially taking the wrong angle or just getting boxed out in general, I feel like that's when you spring the long runs. Am I looking at this incorrectly?
Not necessarily. And when you have an explosive back like Saquon, the threat of the long run is always in place. So that'll be one bet that I'd be willing to pay to lose each and every week. So I would always gamble on him busting one, right? And so I think what happened, especially when you look at what happened last week versus Dallas, when the defensive line is able to reset the line of scrimmage, and now you have to stop your feet sooner than you want to, you can't really get good momentum to get to the second level. And now you have to force to either redirect or bounce it outside or cut it back. You give yourself a chance to get brought down pretty quickly. And, so in certain cases, it may be about the linebackers. In certain cases, about how effective your O-line is either maintaining the line of scrimmage or pushing a guy, a yard before. So you're even able to get to the second level. So that's why the offensive line was, I thought last week got manhandled by Dallas. And this defensive line, considering the significance of this ball game and how banged up the Eagles are, could provide the same type of challenge. And then, like I said pre-show, don't sleep on, Jackson, DeMarco Jackson. He was a stud at App State, had a fantastic week of the Senior Bowl that year he came out. Saints made him, essentially a special teams guy. But we've seen the Saints blow that position before. Look at Zach Bond, who was drafted by the Saints and was a special teamer afterthought. Now he was an all-pro with Philly. So Chicago may have stumbled upon something with Jackson if he's able to play like he did, last week and when he stepped in and was really just able to play linebacker.
All right. So the backup linebackers, maybe at least one of them, not as bad comparatively as it appears. Is that what you're saying, Emory?
Yeah. Especially when the offensive line is going through some issues and up front.
Okay, fair enough. Danny Brasco, talk to me about the Eagles laying the 7 points.
So, yeah, I like Philly minus the 7, and I see the chats all over the Bears. I'm fading the chat. I'm ready for the hate and the smoke, guys. You saw the dogs bark yesterday, and I understand people are going to be interested in the Bears considering they've won 7 of 8. They're an 8-3 team. Why are they getting 7 against an Eagles team that just blew a 21-point lead to the Cowboys, right? And their offense, like we said, has been struggling this season. I think this is where they get right because Chicago, the best defense they've faced on the stretch is the 15th ranked Steelers. And the Steelers have been a liability in the secondary. They've been trying to figure it out all season. Chicago, they've been walking the tightrope and being the comeback kids largely based on their turnovers. They lead the league in interception and in turnover differential. But we saw that earlier with the Jaguars this season. That's a very variant stat that can lead to regression. When you're not taking the ball away, they rank very poorly in defensive DVOA, both in the pass and on the run. Now, I know Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, both activated. today, but I don't know how much they really impact this game or if they get full snap counts, if they're on the field for every defensive play. I doubt that. And even so, you're facing Eagles and Jalen Hurts team that doesn't turn the ball over. Part of the reason the Eagles offense has been clunky and lackluster and not explosive is because Hurts just refuses to take risks. He's just not throwing interceptions, but he's also not taking chances. So you take away the turnover potential. If the Eagles can keep the ball safe, can run the ball, can control behind Saquon against a banged up linebacker core of the Bears, a bad run defense, I think they handle this game. Caleb Williams, despite the Bears' successes and all his comebacks, still below 60% completion rate. He's bottom of the league there. And I just think that the Bears' defense is not going to hold up here. And the Eagles can really kind of come back on from that narrative of blowing a major lead in prime time to the Cowboys. The market is standing firm, Sia. -7 with all the comebacks the Bears have. Everyone's going to want to bet Bears +7. I'm seeing about 50-50 split in terms of betting tickets in the market, which makes me feel like I like that laying that -7 because there are plenty of people on the other side. And the Bears defense on the road, Sia, worst in points per drive in the NFL. So I think Philly takes care of this one.
All right, we're laying the 7 with the Eagles. And we've got Saquon Barkley over 77.5 rushing yards. Mikey B, I've kept you on ice way too long. Hey, if you have an opinion on this NFL game, because I know you cover NFL too, I probably should have gone to you earlier, but drop an opinion if you got it. Ben's got the poll, I guess 53%, 54% now, like the Bears +7. This one is just basically right down the middle. Mikey B, let me know if you like anything in this game from a spread standpoint, but you've got 2 NBA plays for us as well.
I want no part of the spread in that game. And see it. We have so much basketball. I don't care about the NFL feeding us another game that we don't need on a day when we should be spending time with our families or watching the Emirates NBA Cup. So that's where I've got 2 picks for you today. I very rarely give out spreads early in the morning, but I've got one today. I like the Pistons -3 against the Magic. This game is in Detroit, which is important to note. The Magic are not the same team on the road that they are at home. They're 7-3 at home, but they are just 4-5 on the road. Last season, they were 19-22 on the road. The Pistons are 7-1 at home this season. 6 of their home wins came by at least 6 points. That included a 19-point victory over the same Magic in Detroit in October. I do think this rematch is closer, but I like the Pistons -3. And then the other big marquee matchup of the night, Lakers, Mavericks, Luka facing his old team. So we're going to do Luka Doncic over 33.5 points. As he prepares to face his old team, he's got at least 37 points in 3 of the last 4 games. This game is being played in Los Angeles. Important to note because Doncic is averaging 39.3 points per game at home this season. Now, we all know Doncic is an emotional, petty guy. And we like that for overs on points props. He played the Mavericks last season. He had 45 points. He's on fire right now. He's going to want to stick it to his old team. Luka Doncic over 33.5 points.
All Pro Joe in the chat says, Mikey B is on a heater when his whole room is smoking. People,
yeah.
Go ahead, Brasco.
I was going to ask, I love the petty narratives because if you're going to bet the revenge, you need the petty player to do it. The guy that just won't let anything go.
I don't like revenge narratives, but there's a difference when you've got a guy A as talented and B as petty as Luka Doncic.
It's like the NFL version of Petty Rogers. What are your thoughts on Anthony Street Clothes Davis to make a revenge performance?
Well, now here's the thing. Anthony Davis is questionable. Mavericks have 3 games in the next 4 days, including a back-to-back set today and tomorrow. So he's definitely not playing in both of them. Reporters asked Davis if he was going to play, which game he's going to come back for. And he said, which game I want to come back for. Does that mean he's going to play today? I don't know. Even if he does play, when Doncic scored 45 points against them last season, Anthony Davis played in that game. So I'm not worried about Anthony Davis taking the floor. Luka's going to go over 33.5.
Buckets, I don't know if there's any soccer questions that you need to attend to, but there's a lot of momentum for some reason on you and me running for president. I guess I'm your running mate in 2028. How do you feel about that? That it's starting up again, but I was never your running mate, the front end of this.
I think, don't you have to be a certain age to run for president? I think I'm still too young and handsome to run for president, but
that's
so
true.
I don't know if I would have to be
and modest.
Mate, I think. And I'm so humble. I just don't think it would be a good fit for me. But there were a couple soccer questions. Sia, could I actually get your opinion in the second Bundesliga? Hannover 96 are taking on Karlsruhe this afternoon. Any thoughts on that? Do you think BTTS and over 2.5 looks good?
Yeah, I wish you hadn't said that because you stole the words right out of my mouth. That's what I was going to say. I love that play.
Well, what about Mönchengladbach taking on Leipzig in the Bundesliga this afternoon? What do you think about that one?
Yeah, that's BTTS. It's got it written all over it, man.
Yeah,
that's an easy one.
Yeah, minus 300. So I agree with you on that one. So yeah, that's a good shout.
All right. I think we've got all the picks in here. I'm trying to think if we had any follow-up questions or if I had any follow-up questions for anybody here, but I think we're done. Mikey B, did you see any NBA questions in the chat?
No, somebody asked me about there it is. Rick asked about laddering Luka's points. I don't mind that. I wouldn't go above 40. I would go 35. I'd be comfortable there. Be careful as you're getting closer to 40. If you've got like a 38 option, I like, at least 38 points. I like that, but I wouldn't go too crazy over 40.
Walter Rogers says, "See no play for you today." So this is a very rare occasion where I actually don't have a play for today. My lean was to Saquon Barkley's longest rush over of 16.5. I've also got the Rams play for Sunday that I gave out, I believe, yesterday. Rams minus 10. Really like that spot. I actually also like the spot for Seattle at home against the Vikings. I think it's laying 11.5 there, but I'm not going to make that an official play quite yet. Stick to SportsLine to see if I make a play there. Brasco, go ahead.
Don't you sleep on Max Brosmer. Low-key might be the most talented quarterback on that Minnesota roster. My boy Max Brosmer is about to light it up. Now, they're going to get cooked, but I think he'll actually perform decently.
Emory, do you have a take on Brosmer? Because he didn't. I mean, I think he's just in for it. I don't think he's very good in terms of like a starting NFL quarterback. So maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is such a bad spot for him. I think this could be a 20-point win for Seattle.
Well, here's the thing. I called a couple of his games when he was at New Hampshire when they played Monmouth. So very familiar with Brosmer. And I was impressed when he was out there playing. The game was when they had Dylan Lowby, who's now with the Raiders. So was more impressed with Brosmer than Lowby in that ball game. And then he goes to Minnesota. And my scout report on was quick with his release. His footwork is always consistent. He has good velocity. Now, the negative part is he has to throw touch in his game because everything right now is a fastball, which is going to lead to a lot of tips or a lot of, batted balls or a lot of, interceptions. So he has to really throw a change up in there every now and then and get better. But because he's a 6-year college football player, has good footwork and good velocity, he's going to look better in this offense because he's played a lot of football. So to, Brasco's point, he's going to be able to get the offense on pace, and it's going to look bad for McCarthy, but long-term, you like McCarthy because he's young. He still has upside, but Brosmer gives him a good chance to be competitive because of his extensive college experience and how well he's able to play with the traits that he has.
All right. So would you shy away from laying the 11.5, or what's your take on that Seattle at home there?
Oh, they're getting blown out. Like Seattle's defense is a problem. You know what I'm saying? And so as good as Brosmer can make this offense look functional, they're still not good enough against that Seahawks defense.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's begging for me to put that play in. So my lack of picks, I will let you know that we've got Fantasy Football Today DFS coming up at 11 o'clock on the Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel. It's me, Mike McClure, and I happen to know that Mike McClure, Danny, likes your Eagles play too. I'm not saying it's an official pick for him. I don't know what he has on that game, but I know I've spoken with him. He likes the Eagles -7 as well. But me, Mike, and Meg will be doing Fantasy Football Today in DFS in a half an hour. So we'll have some prop talk on that show as well. So make sure you join us there. Mikey B, anything NBA wise before we get to the recap screen?
Yeah, there was a question. Steven wanted picks for the Bulls Hornets game for our Bulls. Steven, we can't do anything on this yet. Kobe White and Nikola Vucevic are questionable for the Bulls. I believe it's first game of a back-to-back set. So Kobe White might sit. Excuse me. The fog is getting to my lungs here. So, Steven, we can't bet anything on that yet.
All right, let's get to the recap screen. Buckets, feel free to interrupt me. Brasco, interrupt me if there's something I missed. This is my pick from yesterday, Rams -10. That one, of course, is at Carolina. Some books might have that at 10.5, but a couple of books still have it at 10, major books. So you're okay there. Como versus Sassuolo.
Yep.
Both teams to score -110. Oxford United versus Ipswich Town. Ipswich Town over 1.5, team total -130. Buckets, go ahead.
Real quick, a little bonus lean for me. Caleb Williams' first touchdown score at +2,500. Just wanted to get that out there.
What?
Just
Does anybody else want to chime in with the first touchdown score?
That's salmonella poisoning talking right there.
Oh, now I feel like I have to have one. All right, we got Saquon Barkley over 77.5 rushing yards, minus 112. I have that lean. It's a lean right now, at least, over 16.5 longest rush. Brasco also likes the Eagles minus 7, minus 110. Now we go to Emory Hunt. Ole Miss minus 7.5 at even money. Utah minus 10.5 at minus 110. And Texas A&M minus 2.5 at minus 115. Pistons minus 3, minus 110. They're at home against the Orlando Magic, says Mikey B. And Luka Doncic over 33.5 points, minus 114. Couple of sports line picks. We got Arkansas State money line minus 125, courtesy of Matt Severance. And Jeff Hockman has Ottawa Senators money line at even money. Does anybody else, Brasco, you want to chime in with the first touchdown score?
I don't have first. I mean, I don't want to take this first, but I want to sprinkle Eagles defensive touchdown plus 600.
Interesting. All right. I'll go. Go ahead, Emory.
I saw somebody in the chat ask about the Yale Youngstown State game. Do I like Yale money line? Plus, I do. I think Yale beats Youngstown State. Youngstown State has a quarterback that's also their leading rusher with like 1,300 yards. Yale has a good running back. This is an NFL prospect, Josh Pitzenberger. He can run the rock. They can also throw too. This is going to be an upset. One of the few upsets we'll see in the first round of FCS playoffs. But I do like Yale to go out there to Youngstown, Ohio, and beat the Penguins.
How good is Emory Hunt? He can answer absolutely anything. Emory's so happy that you were able to join the show. I'll go Dallas Goedert at 10-1 or Luther Burden at 22-1. Now that Buckets has thrown his hat in the ring here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here. Maybe I'll see you at 11 o'clock for Fantasy Football Today, DFS with Mike McClure and Meg Schaup. But either way, Buckets, thank you so much. Mikey B and your smoke machine. Love the antics as usual. Danny Brasco and Emory Hunt, thanks for joining us. And of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great Friday. Enjoy the football and basketball and soccer. We'll see you next time on The Early Edge. We rest our case.